Today we're going to be talking about how do you get started studying ML and DL. I'm just going to share my story and my journey, so like how I've been studying it. I started studying in the August of 2019, currently it's the August of 2020, so it's been a year. So there's a lot of things in my head that I want to kind of talk about, but just to keep this video, organized and short and simple, we're going to be talking about my motivation first, why I'm studying DL, and what resources I've been using to kind of study, and thirdly, my bigger picture that I've seen so far, and just kind of conclude this video with what's next coming ahead and moving ahead. Right, so there are multiple reasons why I'm studying deep learning. Firstly, I think I got started in deep learning because of the hype. If you've been on the internet lately, then you would know what I'm talking about. If I hadn't read those over exaggerating articles about deep learning and AI, or probably listened to Elon Musk hyping it up in Joe Rogan's podcast, then now I would not have cared enough to even pick up a book or an online course to kind of explore the field. But that's not all. That's just the small chunk of it. Second reason is because job. I want to get a job. I don't want to go broke, and I feel like DL is that area where I'm kind of I love it, I like it, and I want to get a job in that thing so I don't have to live my life miserably doing something I do not like. But the primary reason is because I love basketball and I love deep learning. I love what makes deep learning, linear algebra, calculus, probability, statistic, right? Oh, I also love the third thing, computer vision. Computer vision, basketball, and deep learning, right? I want to apply deep learning, computer vision in basketball and make some cool stuff. And that cool stuff hopefully will, help people achieve their dreams, and my dream of dunking, and I'm probably not getting to NBA, but you get what I'm saying, right? So that's my motivation behind studying DL, and I think it's super important to have a motivation behind whatever you're doing, especially when you're learning DL, because man, I don't need to tell you this stuff, do I? It's like common sense, right? You got whatever you do, you gotta have some motivation. You wanna take a shit, you gotta have some motivation. Your tummy's hurting, you know what I'm saying? Do I need to explain you this kid stuff, bro? Grow up, dude, grow up. Alright, okay, so let's move on to resources that I've used to kind of study DL, ML, and all that, buzzword I'm gonna drop in this video. I'm gonna drop all the buzzword in 3 seconds. ML, DL, AI, LSTM, yes, CNN, convolutional neural networks. Drop that. Dun, da, da. So let's talk about the resources that I've used to kind of study DL. Yo, you know what? I'm not gonna even say it. Here's a list of courses that I did in my year of study. Are you gonna go check them out? I think that makes sense. I'm not gonna stand here and talk about each and every course. That's not my job. I think you can just read it online. But I think the bigger picture here is I've done majority of my learning through online courses and MOOCs available, online. Plus I did a few big projects, that took me 6 months, 7 months to do. Plus I did a lot of supplementary reading, reading blogs from written by different machine learning engineers, and different people online in the DL community, and research papers. I think that was the hardest part actually, just reading the research papers, learning to read research papers. There's a lot of terms you would not understand, and sometimes bro, it's frustrating if you want to understand a thing and there's 20 different things you do not understand. It's and then you have to go into this rabbit hole of Wikipedia search or a Google search. You know what I mean? You probably do not know what I mean. No one knows what I mean nowadays. I don't know what I mean. What is going on, man? Hey, tell me what is going on, bro. Am I going crazy? But I think the most important thing I did to accelerate my learning is to kind of follow people online in the space of deep learning. Again, here are the list of people that I kind of follow, and then I kind of find people they follow, so I follow them, so it's an exponential thing. And then just read their blogs and posts, and especially go through their old catalogs of blogs and posts, because that's the point where they themselves were beginners and trying to learn and find their way through this DL space. If you do that, it's called transfer learning, by the way. And I like to add this. For me, the skills that I got from my computer science degree helped a lot as well. So for example, just a fundamental programming skills, right? How do you program stuff? If I did not know how to program in Python or any programming language, then it would have been at least 10 times harder, because then you gotta deal with the artifacts of different programming languages and just programming in general, and then you would have less of a mental energy to kind of focus and study DL off its own. Yo, it's gonna be hard without like, you know, the foundation. So if you do have programming language skills, but if you do not have like linear algebra and all these like math skills, then it's gonna be hard as well. Okay, so now I'm gonna talk about my experience and just the bigger picture before I wrap this video up. You know, this year of study has shown me true value of software engineering. Yo, I know you want to be ML engineers and like data scientists, like who the fuck gives a fuck about like software engineering? But the truth is, without software engineering skills, your machine learning knowledge is just in your head and it would never be useful. Maybe, sometimes, I don't know. But my point is, usually for me, my machine learning journey starts like a Jupyter notebook, right? And it ends at a Jupyter notebook. And this is so fucking frustrating because, you know, I worked so hard to create the data set, you know, load the data set, train the model, tune the model, and now the model is ready and it can't be served. Like, no one can use it. It brings no value to no one. It's like, bro, and it's gonna just sit in my hard drive and, you know, rot. It sucks. It sucks, man. Why does it suck so bad? And like I said, one of my motivation is to bring people value with AI, especially in the field of basketball. And I think without software engineering skills, I don't see it possible. Okay, listen to me. Hear me out. This is important. If you do not understand a concept right away, then it's fucking okay. There's no pressure. Take your time. There's no fucking pressure. Don't bug yourself down because you don't understand this concept right away. So for example, right, I used to hate myself for like not understanding a particular concept right away in that specific day or time or an hour. And I learned this the hard way that, you know, if I do not understand something right away, then there is a missing piece that I do not understand, and I do not know that I do not understand. If you know what I mean. I don't know what I mean. How would they know what I mean? Am I going crazy, y'all? Am I going crazy? I probably am. And just keep reading. Like, keep reading from different primary sources. Read from this author. Read from that author. Read from that author. And just generate this mental models in your head. And that moment will come where you will finally understand the thing that you were struggling to understand like for like, you know, 6 months. So I kind of looked up like how Elon Musk like learns, and one thing stood out to me. He looks at it as like a tree. When I say trees, I mean like computer science trees, like a tree, and each node is like a, you know, a topic or a subject, right? And if you're trying to learn a leaf, like at the very bottom nodes, right, without having that connection, or like the middle nodes, then there's no way you will understand that leaf part of it, the leaf part of the tree, because, you know, you're missing the links, you're missing the between nodes, and most of the time it's always that, and like 1% of the time you're just dumb. Yo, you have to realize this, man. It's no longer like early 2000, right, or like 1990s, like where there's like one classroom, one teacher. You got the internet, bro. Like you got like 1,000 classrooms, you got 1,000 teachers, you know, there's like 1,000 different ways to look at the same concept. You're bound to understand one of them. Alright, I think the final wisdom point is learning how to implement research papers. Okay, reading research papers is one thing. That's like passive learning, alright? And learning to implement research papers is another thing. It's another complete different level. And that is one of the parts that I really struggle in. But again, I know the reason why I'm struggling, because I'm missing the chain links, like the nodes that connect to that particular node that is about implementing research papers. Okay, so my final wisdom point would be, you got to do your projects, man. It's so easy to kind of get stuck in this course mentality land, like where you just do courses after courses after courses, and oh my god, bro, you become a horses. What? It's just rhyme. I just gotta throw in there, you know what I'm saying? I'm a rapper too, man. Yo, but what I meant to say is like, there's things you cannot learn from courses that can only be learned from projects. Let's put it that way. When you're doing a project, you gotta think so much about data. Yeah, there's a whole thing that you don't get taught. Like, you know, how do you clean your data? How do you, you know, choose specific features? How do you line up your data so, like, you know, it's ready to be put in the model. Then after you build the model, then you gotta think of like, how do you deploy the model? ML is bigger than just building models, and courses don't teach you that. I think Daniel, one of the YouTubers who's really active in talking about DL and ML stuff on YouTube, said it the best. When you're doing courses, the instructor has done a lot of thinking for you, so that, you know, you don't have to spend your mental energy thinking about how do you process data, and so that you can only focus learning about the algorithms and building models. So when real life hits you, yo bro, it's like you gotta think about this whole different problem that you have never thought about. Plus, you know, employers, they don't give a shit about how many courses you did or like how many certificates you have. They don't even care about my degree, bro. All they care about is like, you know, can you do this stuff? What have you done in the past? Can I see your projects? So what's next for me? This year I just finished my bachelor's. I'll be going back to university for my master's. So a whole like a master thesis just waiting for me. And obviously, and of course, I'm gonna keep learning, and learning never stops. Alright guys, I think that's it for this video. I'm sweating. See you later.